Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerd Herder Show. I'm Nick.
I'm Rich.
And today is the day.
Yep.
We're talking Force Awakens.
We are.
Long in development. We've been doing this for what, like 12 weeks now?
12, 13 weeks?
A few months. But we have been anticipating this movie since Disney purchased Lucasfilm, but really, since Return of the Jedi, since whenever the first time you saw Return of the Jedi, you probably been dreaming about what happens next. And now
we know.
So we're going to talk all about the movie, and we're going to do so in a spoiler-free fashion to start.
We're going to start off spoiler-free, just some general
what we thought
thoughts.
Of the movie.
Once we switch over to spoilers, we'll be very clear about spoilers, that we're going to get into spoiler territory. But in case anyone's just interested in what we have to say about it before going into the movie, we'll give you some general thoughts.
If you've somehow been avoiding your social media pages to see even if people liked it or not, if you consider that a spoiler, then you probably wouldn't have even opened this at this.
Yeah.
But we're gonna tell you what we thought about it, whether we thought it was good or not. So if you think that's a spoiler, just pause this and watch it after you see it. But let's get into it. So, did you like Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens?
I loved it.
You loved it?
I loved it.
Okay, why? Well,
we can't really say
the best that you can say.
I love where the story went. The acting performances all around were incredible. They certainly acted circles around everybody in the prequels.
Okay, that's probably fair.
Daisy Ridley is going to blow the hell up after this movie. And they did a really good job. And again, this isn't not spoilers, of blending the new and the old groups together and making the chemistry and everybody click really well. And I like where this is setting up to go. It's definitely, Disney, it was already announced that they're doing 8 and 9 spin-off films, and whether or not we should be excited for that is going to be based on this. And I'm definitely excited to see where the story goes from here. And they've set up a trilogy, in my opinion, really well. Or leading into something else really well.
Yes. I'm right there with you. I love this movie. I think the miraculous thing about this movie is that they did nail every single major new character. From Rey to Finn to Poe to Kylo to BB-8.
Yeah.
I would consider those the 5 main new characters. And they all instantly feel iconic. They feel like they've always been there.
Yeah.
And this is forever going to be George Lucas's legacy as Star Wars, but now it's moved past him. And I think that it's hard for somebody like J.J. Abrams to come in and really take ownership of it, because it's always going to be George's baby. But I think with this foundation of new characters created by J.J. Abrams with Lawrence Kasdan, he really has put his footprint on this franchise for forever. I mean, because these characters are already some of my favorite characters in the universe, and I've only lived with them for less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
So, and that's so impressive that they were able to do that. And, you said that they were able to balance the new and the old, and you were referring to, the cast.
Yeah.
And they are able to do that, but they also were able to, perfectly mold the new and the old when it comes to the prequels and the originals. In terms of the prequels were much more about the visuals and the action and the stunts and way less about the characters, which is what made the classics, the original, so good. This nails the characters, but it also nails the action. This is easily the most visually stunning Star Wars movie that has ever been made.
It blends this. There's plenty of practical effects here, which is a big gripe about the prequels. Is there, it's all CGI, and the CGI, there is CGI in here, and it does for the most part look really good. And they do a really good job, again, for the most part, blending both the CG and the practical effects together. Where there's times where I'm like, wait a second, is that practical? Is that there were some things that I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's super impressive. Before we even move into spoilers, if you're just watching this start of this to see what we thought about it, I don't want to go overboard with it, though.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I can't wait to watch this movie over and over again for the rest of my life. But this movie is not flawless.
No, it definitely has. I have issues.
There are minor gripes.
Yes, they're very minor, and I don't think they detract overall from the film itself. But there are some issues with it.
Yeah, and we'll go into those in spoilers. But I think before we move into spoilers, the other last thing that I wanted to add is one popular thing that was going around the internet in the past week or so leading up to The Force Awakens was some of the reactions that people had when they walked out of Phantom Menace, and people saying it was amazing, it was this and it was that, and how many people had to redact those comments later on as they realized like they were caught up in the hype. I don't feel like we were caught up in the hype on this. I really think that this movie is going to stand the test of time. It's going to hold up to repeat viewings. I mean, we both personally know people who have already seen it multiple times.
Yeah.
And some feel the
I'm
same
seeing
way.
it again tomorrow.
Sure, yeah, I probably am as well. And I think that the reason that it is clear that this movie holds up better than, say, Episode 1 does is because of the characters.
Yeah.
And that's not going to go away. They can't, like, you might watch it again and be like, well, this or that, maybe, but you're not going to take away from those.
And here we are, we're able to say we love this movie, but we feel there's problems with this movie, but as I've discussed those problems, I've discussed a little bit off camera with you and a couple other people who've seen it, I don't find myself slowly spiraling out of my... There's some movies you see and you're like, oh my god, that's great, but I had an issue with this, and then you realize like an hour later, well, I actually didn't really like this movie.
Yeah, sure.
Like that's happened a couple of times,
yeah.
and you just get caught up in the hype and it goes and you're like, well, wait a second, this movie's just... And I don't find myself hitting that point. Like,
no, yeah.
I'm still finding... I've had these little problems with it, but I'm not like... It's not detracting from the movie.
No, right, yeah, definitely. So, I don't really know what else we could say spoiler free that really we would just keep going on and on about. It was great. You should watch it. So let's just say it was great. You should watch it.
So go watch it, and then
I guess one thing that some people may have never seen a Star Wars movie, and they might be like, "Can I really jump in?" I think you could, but I think that there would be so much more to gain by at least having knowledge of the original trilogy. So if you haven't somehow seen those by now, and you're interested in this, see the originals.
Absolutely. I think you could get away with it, but there's too much.
I think a lot of what makes it emotionally powerful would be lost if you hadn't seen the originals. But with that said, go see the movie. Go experience it.
Yeah.
Don't be deterred by what you assume is going to be crazy opening weekend crowds and
Yeah,
stuff.
because it was not bad at my theater.
Very orderly. And, I think I've been reading a lot of the box office tracking for this movie and stuff, and the Variety's putting out. And Disney keeps hammering home, like, yes, it sold the most tickets in Fandango history. Yes, it's over $100 million already in pre-sales. But they're making it very clear. But that doesn't mean that there are not going to be open seats. Like, theaters have dozens of screens. There's going to be room for this.
I had open seats at my screening last night, Thursday night. So at the end of the day, there's only so much that they can do. So what I would say is, go see it this weekend. Go see it with a crowd. Go see it with this crowd that's going to enjoy it for what it is. So, but anyway, why don't we go ahead and then move into spoilers. Giant warning, spoilers from here on out. What did we used to do? The square, the air square.
The air square.
Air square. Spoilers. I don't want any gripes about we spoiled it. We're plenty of warning for spoilers. Spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holy shit.
Okay. Let's have the conversation.
Now let's have a conversation.
Let's have that conversation.
Where do you want to start? You want to start at the beginning, or we want to start...
Okay, I mean, we could sit here and recap the movie play by play, but it's so hard to even process, what the journey of what we went through, what it was. But what I would say is, like, okay, I don't want to even. All right.
This is exactly how I was when I got a movie last night. I'm just like jumping from thing to thing, and oh my gosh, and this.
But all right, the first thing that I want to talk, my first takeaway from
Okay.
this movie was the new characters that they nailed them. So why don't we go maybe over a little bit about why?
Okay.
What made them work?
Okay.
And I think that a good place to start is the first one that you technically see is Finn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you see him.
Well,
he's in
Poe's.
well, you see Finn in the dropship.
Okay.
before you see
Okay.
him. It opens up in that dropship. You don't know it's Finn necessarily yet. I mean, but you know. What did you like about the character of Finn, his arc?
Well, first of all, I like that they're humanizing these stormtroopers a lot more. Like there's little moments throughout it that you see those, like the scene where Kylo Ren's going crazy on his computer and the stormtroopers kind of walk over and they're like, no, we're just gonna go. Yeah. Like you're seeing more of them as people as opposed to like these mindless kind of things.
So it kind of matters more even when they get killed.
Yeah, even when...
Because, you know, they have like the one moment where there's a female stormtrooper. Not Phasma, but there's just a random one that talks and is female. And, you know, there is Phasma. And, you know, everybody was really excited about her. She looked amazing. Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones. She ends up being really a nothing character. Yeah. But she still is a character, and we never had that from any stormtrooper in the original trilogy. And I think that was probably a complaint about the Clone Wars or the clones from they're just clones. If you watch the cartoon, they do develop different characters within that, but if you just watch the movies, there's nothing to them. Yeah. And so they definitely, and they kind of make it kind of tragic when you learn about Finn's backstory. He was taken as a child. It's the only life he ever knew, and you know his first time in combat is the scene that we see at the beginning, and he sees them killing innocent people, and you know, he kind of has that like shell shock, like Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan moment where he gets, you know, the blood, and he just doesn't want to do it, and he just leaves. He's not going to let them control his life, and that's pretty awesome. And his arc throughout the movie is kind of like, I mean, he's kind of in some ways he is a coward. He leaves.
He's constantly like, we gotta get out of here. I don't want to.
Yeah, especially later, and eventually, like he does go to leave when he was at Maz's place, Maz Kanata. But then, you know, when his new friend is taken, he jumps into action.
He's finally like, okay, like...
He's definitely... Well, I'll save my other point about him until later, but I thought John Boyega was great. And it's interesting, you know, him and Poe, who I think we'll talk about next, the two of them, a lot about how they act and about how their characters, it's definitely more modern than when you think of, like, Star Wars.
Yeah. I think a lot of the interaction, a lot of kind of the back and forth, and just humor of the movie is that a little more modern.
Yeah, it's definitely, the humor's definitely more than we saw in the originals, or even the prequels even.
Yeah.
Like the humor in like the prequels is childish.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff they have the droids do. This is more like, I mean, it's humor, like the scene where he talked about...
This is more similar to like some of the humor in like a Marvel film or something almost.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's not that dissimilar to the humor Abrams injected into Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I think that it is deliberate. It has worked for Marvel, like you said, and I think that they want these movies to be fun. They want it to be 4 quadrant hits, as they call them. But it works. It doesn't feel like a betrayal of Star Wars.
No, it doesn't feel like, oh, well, now it's all silly and jokey. It feels
natural.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's another thing that's going to make it replayable. But with Poe, I love his introduction. He's, you know, well, there's the scene with him and Max von Sydow. But then, like, when he's taken by Kylo Ren, I loved how he was just instantly just, like, arrogant to him.
Yeah.
He makes a joke. Like, he's cocky.
You're going to talk? Who talks?
Which one of us talks first? And it's just kind of hard to understand you with that thing on your head or whatever he says. And it was just instantly like, all right, let's go. This is the new, you know, I mean, he kind of is like the new Han Solo.
Yeah, right off the bat, he comes across.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the like, you know, kind of cocky, just shit talking.
Yeah, and then, you know, right off the bat that he like, when Finn breaks him out, and he's like, "Do you know how to fly one of these?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I know how to fly anything." And it's like, all right, this guy's a badass pilot, you know. And so, what did you think about, like, overall? Did you like Poe Dameron?
Yeah, I think he's great. All the characters.
Yeah, I mean, I was really into Poe. I can't wait to learn more about him. He's definitely, of the three,
Mm-hmm.
we know the least about him.
Yeah.
Some of the comics that have led up to this movie have gone into detail on like who his parents are.
Oh, really?
And it's pretty interesting.
Okay.
It's not something they're going to cover in the movies, I'm sure, but like they set up that like both of his parents fought in the rebellion. They were there in the last fight, the Battle of Endor.
Mm.
Like they set up that his mom was an X-wing fighter pilot who is on the second Death Star strike,
Okay.
and his dad is one of the rebels who's with Han Solo on Endor,
Okay.
taking out the base that has the shield protector. So pretty cool that they have that background for him. At least if you go into the more new extended universe.
Yeah.
I liked Poe a lot, but fucking hell, Rey.
She's amazing.
She steals the for me, my two favorite characters in the movie are her and Kylo Ren.
Okay.
But she's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like really awesome.
She,
And why?
I mean, she's an absolute badass. She's a strong female lead who plays it well. You know, pretty much unknown before this.
Yeah.
I saw some article today on like IndieWire. And it was like, oh, any movies from the Force Awakens cast, and like she had one on there, and it's like I would totally go back and watch it. But her performance in it is so good.
Yeah.
Like out of nowhere, this she comes out of here and it just has something like that. I mean.
Yeah, she really does. And, to most people, I'm sure they feel that same way about John Boyega.
Yeah.
We're not the majority who have seen Attack the Block.
Mm-hmm.
It's the minority of people who have.
Yeah, it's like we've seen this. Like
but
I knew going in, like he's
so
going to be
different from Moses in Attack the Block than he is in this as Finn. That I didn't know he had that in him.
Mm.
But she, the range of emotions that she has to go through in this movie, like. She's great, and there's a scene. Well, we can spoil it.
Yeah,
we're in spoilers. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, like the scene where there's Han's death is super impactful. It's crushing the way that the whole thing plays out. But the scene that really got me like wanting to get out of my seat and cheer was when she uses the Force to get the lightsaber from, and then wields it, and it's just like, oh man, I'm so happy they didn't ruin that in the trailer.
Yeah.
That they didn't show her with it, or any of that, because it is just that's a moment. Like that's a cinematic moment.
There's a lot of those in this.
There's a lot.
So many just big moments, and
yeah.
thankfully none of them.
Yeah, not really. Yeah.
Were really spoiled.
So what did you think of Kylo Ren, the new big bad?
There's moments where I really like him.
Okay.
And then towards the end, I was kind of not super thrilled with him.
Okay, why?
And I don't know if it's the way the character's supposed to be, or if it's because of Adam Driver. I wasn't real super familiar with Adam Driver going into this. I knew he was in Girls. I've never watched Girls.
Mm-hmm.
He was in... What was that new Noah Baumbach one? This Is All We Are or something that he did. He's in that, and he plays kind of like this uppity, like hipster dick kind of guy. And so, kind of expected something along those... I think he plays something kind of similar in Girls, from what I've heard.
Definitely.
But like that scene where he's, trying to read into Rey's mind and stuff, that was my first one. I'm like, holy shit, he's got this. Like, he is great.
Oh, yeah.
I am totally on board with him.
Good.
But at the end, and I don't know, again, I feel it works for the character. Kind of, he's this kind of scared, cowardly, frightened kid who killed his father. As far as he's concerned, was abandoned by his parents and killed his father. And he just kind of came off as a little whiny towards there, just this bratty little whiny character at the end. But I think it fits well enough with the character, so I'm not totally against it.
It's because I think that he does feel guilt.
Yeah.
I think he feels guilt for what he's become. I think that, there's the scenes where he's talking to Darth Vader's helmet and he's like, grandfather, like, show me the dark again. Because the light is calling to me and I don't want it. And like, he is a very conflicted person.
He's got that like teenage angst.
Right, yeah, he's dealing with something that like we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it would be similar to like a priest, like not believing in his religion and or doubting God or something like that. But he wants to go back to the dark side, and he doesn't want to feel the light, and he doesn't want to. And I mean, that's what the Skywalker line, they have both. They have the light and the dark. And it's, he's fighting really, like Luke went to the light and Anakin goes to the dark. But he's like somewhere in between, but he wants to go to the dark.
Yeah.
And so it's that conflict, and it's just, but also because there's the light in there, he feels that guilt. He feels that, he's doing the wrong thing.
Sure.
He's conflicted with himself. But I mean, that scene on the bridge and first of all, the reason I found it to be as emotionally impactful as it is seeing Han Solo die is because you really feel like it's Han Solo dying. Harrison Ford recaptured Han Solo in this movie.
And
that's something we doubted.
We had talked, I think probably in one of our trailer now, we've talked that somebody was probably going to die in this.
Yeah, sure.
And one of the kind of thing that I heard was that it might be Chewie. Because there was that scene in the trailer what's in the movie where she's crying over what we know now is Finn's body in the snow. And all you saw was brown, and so kind of speculation was like, oh, Chewie dies. Right. And then there's that scene they go in there and he's like, okay, we're going to do this, and Chewie says something, and he's like, oh yeah, you're right, we'll split up, we'll go here. And I'm like, oh shit, Chewie's going to die, this is where it's going to happen. And then it doesn't, Han Solo does, but from the moment the two of them walk on screen, it's like they never missed a beat. It's instant, they're back, this is Han Solo and Chewbacca, they're home. We are home, this is them. There was never like some people criticize Indiana Jones for like, oh, Harrison Ford can't really do his old stuff again and things like that, but he is just back in Han Solo.
Crystal Skull, it feels like Harrison Ford doing what he thinks Indiana Jones was. Like, I don't watch that movie. Fair. I don't watch that movie and not see Harrison Ford. I don't see Indiana Jones. And Raiders of the Lost Ark, I'm gushing about Star Wars, but Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite movie of all time. And I don't feel like he's that character in the movie.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't buy it. But in this, he walks in there with Chewbacca, he says we're home, and then he has like some of the bickering back and forth with Chewbacca, and it's just like, boom.
It's like we never left them, they never missed a beat, it's just they're in and out, they've never...
It's Han Solo. And then there's that other scene that happens shortly after where he has to talk his way out of it.
He's like,
I'm going to do what I always do, talk myself out of it. And, I loved seeing him do that. That's actually probably my least favorite scene in the movie. Is what follows with those creatures chasing him around. That's the one scene where initially watching it, I felt like it was the least like Star Wars. It felt more like something that would have been in Star Trek.
Yeah.
When Kirk's getting chased by that monster on the ice planet. Not to say that it's necessarily a bad scene. It's just if I had to think about the scene while I was watching, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is Star Wars. It would be that. And then that scene directly leads, and it's like CGI heavy. It's one of the first CGI heavy things you see. The creatures, they look okay. They don't look bad, but they don't look great.
There's definitely some spots in there where I think they could have used practical effects a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And then that immediately leads into our first sighting of Supreme Chancellor Snoke, who's like the true big evil of this new trilogy.
Kind of the emperor of this.
And I was coming off of that other scene, and then I see him, and I'm kind of like, that's what he looks like, because we didn't know.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, what's he gonna look like? What's he gonna look like? And then he looks kind of like, something out of Prometheus.
That's what I was expecting. He was like, oh, he's an engineer. Okay, cool.
And I was kind of like, and the CGI, and it doesn't look great. I will stand by this. He doesn't look amazing, and that's kind of an issue. And it's weird because Maz Kanata, the Lupita Nyong'o character, looks great.
Yeah,
looks really good, and he doesn't. And I just wish, he's like. He looks like he's like 30 feet tall or something, and
which you realize later on.
Right, yeah, but then that's just. I mean, we're assuming it's just because that's how he's displaying himself as the hologram.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he's not actually going to be that, but we don't.
That's really true. We don't technically know, but as soon as he was a hologram, I was like, okay, he's just
right.
It's like when Thanos comes in Guardians and he's like on the giant wall.
But I was kind of like, I was kind of like checked out of that scene, and I was really, he does, there's been an awakening, Hux walks away and he's talking to Kyle and he's like, there's been an awakening, have you felt it? And you'll never, and then like, I was like, oh yeah, I love that line from the teaser that I watched 100 times. And then he goes, and the two that we let get away are with your father, and I was like, oh fuck. Like, I mean, a quarter of the way into this movie, they gave that away.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I had thought for the long, we've
speculated, whose kid are they going to be?
Yeah, who's Rey, and whose parents are it? And is Kylo Ren really the son of Luke, or is it Han and Leia, or is it this or that? And so, like, it's not something that was out of the question.
No.
But I couldn't believe they had said it in that
They
scene.
dropped
and
it
I was
so
just
early.
like, I don't care what you look like. This is awesome that they already did this.
Because that just built the tension the rest of the way through.
Exactly, because then you realize, oh my god, like, that's why. But then there is still that second question. Who is Rey?
I think she's got to be Luke's daughter.
That's the thing. She's either Luke's daughter,
mm-hmm.
or she's their daughter.
But
she's the sister.
If she was his sister and she was Han and Leia's daughter, they would have said something. They would have known and been like, "Oh, hey, that's right. We had a daughter too. Not just we lost our son. There's a child there."
Unless they hid that daughter, who's younger than him, on that planet, because they were worried about him, or they didn't want her to learn about the Force and maybe go to the dark, or any number of things could have been the case.
I feel with the scene with the lightsaber, her having, she talks about it's pulling out her that she has this dream and this vision of this island.
Yes.
Which ultimately I assume is the island that they find Luke on. And there's that moment where they're just looking into each other's eyes, and it's like she has the lightsaber out, and it's like, okay, there's more here. There's something
Probably.
here.
But at the same time, he would still be her family.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. It could really go.
That's I'm predicting.
And then you find out that Han dropped her off there, really, and who knows what we're gonna find out. But
yeah.
One of the great things is we only have to wait 17 months to find out.
But we have to wait 17 months to find out.
Yeah, but we get another Star Wars movie in a year.
I know, but it's not the same.
No, I know it's not the same. But one thing I wanted to ask you was just where do you think Episode 8 goes in this early going?
Like, story-wise?
Yeah, sure. Because one thing for me, you can see the arc that Rey will probably have.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be trained by Luke. You can pose a resistance fighter.
Yeah.
One thing that I have no idea what they're going to do, just like thinking about the character and where he could possibly go. I don't know where Finn goes from here.
I could almost see him, he's left with the resistance, pose there, their friend, him almost studying under, just as a pilot, as a fighter, as things like that, or coming on, as Poe's co-pilot or something, and if not in the X-Wing, but in something.
Yeah.
Because they run the TIE fighter and stuff together, and so he has some skills, and he's kind of learning to shoot as they go, and so I could maybe see him going there, and then obviously they somehow meet up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hope it's not, this. I imagine we'll probably get into this a little bit more kind of in our issues
Sure.
the film. But it has a lot of similarities to New Hope.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of other stuff added in there from the other films. But I mean, it's got a lot of similarities. So I hope this doesn't end up being, Episode 8 doesn't end up being that similar to Empire Strikes Back. I hope it...
Well, one thing that I think will happen is I think it's going to be a darker film.
Yeah. Well, this was already... You knew from the moment... I mean, all this stuff, they come in, they both... And the stormtrooper reaches up and he puts the blood on Finn's helmet.
Yeah.
There's never, not that I recall, been like real blood in a Star Wars
That's
film.
really true.
And it was
I mean,
this is going to be a dark film.
That's definitely true. And, this is going to be the big family movie of Christmas. Everybody's going to go see it. It does have scenes like that. It does have some scary moments. And most of all, it does have Han Solo dying from his son. And, one thing that I don't... Do you see it even being possible for Kylo Ren to have a redemptive arc like Darth Vader does in the original trilogy?
No, I don't want... No, fuck that
I don't
guy.
see how it could happen. I mean, I get that he's the son of them, and that would be On one hand, it'd be good to see him.
He killed Han Solo. He's dead.
Solo.
He's dead to me.
And not only does he kill him, like he does it in like a vicious way.
Yeah.
Like he's pretending that he wants to come back, and it's really just to stall time until that star is drained.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like he had no intention of. He didn't. I don't feel like he meant that at all. And Driver sells it so well. And you know, I don't see how. Even if you wanted to do that for the movie, I don't see how audiences would.
Audiences, yes, you can't. There's audiences wouldn't forgive you killing Han Solo. They came in and they killed one of the most iconic characters of fiction.
They killed like one of our heroes.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for him to die because of it. I can't wait for Rey to kill him or however it's going to happen.
Which that also sets him up as
he might admit guilt.
Yeah.
But he will never be redeemed.
No,
he can't be the one that turns good and kills Snoke or something.
Yeah,
that can't be what happens.
But they also set him up as a villain you want to hate, and you're like, okay, Darth Vader has become, is arguably one of the most iconic and greatest villains of cinema, of fiction, of whatever.
Sure, he's iconic. He's visually iconic. I think there are some things about Darth Vader that the myth of him was sort of ruined by Anakin's arc in the prequels.
But he was also a villain that people were drawn to, and they, I love Darth. I grew up, I loved Darth Vader. My cousin was obsessed with Darth Vader. Things like that, and I don't. With Kylo, if you kill Han Solo, you can't have that. Like he's not a villain you want to be. You want to be like, oh yeah, he's cool. He's a villain you want to hate.
I do hate him, but I do think I loved his arc in this movie. I love the arc that is set up just from the few lines of dialogue about his past. Yeah. There's just so much tragedy there, and the fact that it is something that's just inside of him, the dark. And I mean, I think he's fascinating. I think there's so many great places they could go, and I'm so excited for 8 because, and this kind of folds into what you were saying about. At the end of the day, the basic story of this movie, not the characters, not the introduction to the world, all that. The story of taking out Starkiller Base is so reminiscent of 4 that it's a little bit. It's a little underwhelming in that aspect.
It plays the story very safe. Yeah, but I think it had to.
Yeah, because it doesn't have time for an elaborate story. It has to make us love these characters. And
that's what's so great, from that opening scroll. The scroll. I think back of you had this comparing it to Phantom Menace.
Okay.
When that was our new introduction to this trilogy. This is our introduction to this trilogy. Luke Skywalker has vanished. They're searching for him. I mean, it's very simple, as opposed to Phantom Menace, where it's and this politics and the taxes and the trade federation and this and that. I'm like, okay, this is just in and out. Luke Skywalker's missing. They're trying to find him. Story go.
They're bad guys and they want to kill him because he's the last Jedi.
Yeah.
And then you quickly find out that they have a Death Star-like type thing. I thought it was a little bit silly when they're like, "This is the hologram of the Death Star size, and this is the hologram of how much bigger it is." It's like, come on. But what I was gonna say is, I'm so excited for 8 because I think that there's so much more potential for rich story in this world. That now we have the characters, we love the characters. That's why Empire works for the people that it works for. Yeah, is because the story goes in interesting, crazy places for the characters that you grew to love in A New Hope. And they have the opportunity to do that. And I'm going to say something maybe controversial, maybe you won't agree with it, I don't know. But I think J.J. absolutely knocked it out of the park with this. I'm a fan of J.J. Abrams. I'm a fan of his earlier movies. I'm a fan of his TV work. I'm a fan of things that he's produced. And he killed it with this. I think it's his best movie. But, with that said, Rian Johnson is a better director than J.J. Abrams.
Okay.
And that excites me for what 8 could be. Yeah. JJ knows how to sell something. He is, you listen to some of the interviews with this guy and, you're following him over the last, 3 years, and the way that he sells this movie and the way he talks and the way he excites people. Yeah. He is a showman in a way that almost no other director I can think of is. That's what he is. He's a great showman. But Rian Johnson is a better storyteller. Okay. That's fair. The story issues with this movie prove that. The story issues with some of his other movies prove that. Yeah. And this, even think about the his TV projects. People have a lot of issues with how they ended, Lost and stuff. But I love the guy. But Rian Johnson, you look at Looper, you look at Brick, You look at even The Brothers Bloom, which is still a good movie, even though it's weak as his 3. We have potential for that to be like even better than this, and that's crazy to think about. I'm so excited for the future, and like the thing is, like Star Wars is here, and the future is officially bright.
It's not no longer this. Oh, okay, we got a year to go. The first teaser's out. Wow, that's great. But is the movie going to be good? Is this going to happen? No. It's the waiting is done. It's happened,
and people are excited. It's cool to be excited about Star Wars, and kind of that also plays into like the superhero movies being so popular. Like geek culture is in, but like I remember being in 5th grade and feeling like the world was super excited for episode 1 because it was. But it wasn't cool to be really excited for 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And I was so excited for those. But you kind of looked stupid being like wicked excited for episode 3. And that's not the case. Like I feel like the world is going to be excited for more Star Wars.
Like we talked about this kind of before. As Force Awakens, this is going to be the biggest thing ever. Will this excitement carry over to the upcoming movies? If they keep doing this, and I think with how this movie is doing, how the general reaction is to it so far, I think it can.
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but again, I was reading. We're recording this on Friday. We're gonna get this out to you as soon as possible. But the pre-show sales for the Thursday nights broke the record, shattered Harry Potter's record. But they were talking about the weekend sales in Variety, and the company that does like the cinema scores, it was like something like 85% of audiences coming out getting polled rate the movie as excellent, which is the highest rating.
Yeah.
And then it was like 10% was great, which is the second. And then it was like, so that leaves like almost no room for people not liking. Like people think this movie is amazing. And so people will be excited. Episode 8 has no chance of being bigger than this.
There's going to be a different kind of hype, but I think there's still going to be just as much hype behind it.
Yeah. And, they were smart in how they played some of it. We didn't even talk about Leia or Luke yet.
Yeah.
But, Luke only being in that last shot, we don't even hear him talk. So it's kind of like, yes, he was there, we saw him, but everyone who's excited to see Luke again, you really have to wait for 8. And that was kind of smart, because part of it was catching this nostalgia with Episode 7. And we're still going to be getting that, because it'll be really the first time we see Luke. Will be in the next one.
Get to see him as a character. And
it was great seeing him turn. I mean, you knew it was coming, but like just to see him and then see him, and it's like, oh my god, that's Luke Skywalker. And it was fun to see some of the other old school characters. Seeing even minor ones like Akbar for the first time again, but like seeing Leia when her and Han reunite. That's definitely a big moment. And I like Leia a lot as a character, but I didn't get like super excited seeing her.
It was
fun.
C-3PO
was fun.
I was more excited about Leia because Han was there. I want to know what happened between them, and that this happened, and that. It wasn't like Leia's back. It was what happened between the two of them.
Yeah, and I mean it was great. Like that moment of them reuniting, they made it mean something, because like she drops down in that dropship, and like Finn says something to Han. He's like, they took Rey, and he's like, yeah, I know, kid, but he's so distracted by it that he's going to be seeing Leia again, because he knows she's in that ship, and that was played perfectly too. Like so much of it was just
they did such a good job of there's a lot of there's a lot of fan service in this film, and I'm okay. But they do it all really well. That respects kind of the originals and these characters that we grew to love over the last 30 years, however, whatever.
Yeah.
All our lives.
Yeah, literally our entire lives.
Yeah. And it like I mentioned at the beginning of this when we were kind of pre-spoilers, like it blends them all together so well that they're, before anybody died, like, we had talked about this again, somebody was going to die, and like I almost forgot about that going in, because I'm like, everybody gels so well together. This chemistry's great. Everybody clicks. I can't wait to see where all these adventures go and where everyone's going to go. And they're all just going to... And then that piece of me died.
Yeah, but then also that piece of you dying is what makes that following lightsaber battle so much more powerful than the lightsaber battles in the prequels. even though it wasn't as showy as, say, the fight between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon
Yeah.
and Darth, it's just, it had what the fights between Luke and Darth in Empire and Return of the Jedi had.
It had that
That's
emotion.
which is not... You definitely get that in Revenge of the Sith a bit between Anakin and Obi-Wan, which is probably the best part of the prequels to me. But you have raw emotion first between Finn trying to take on Kylo Ren even though it doesn't have a chance, and Rey. And I mean it was powerful. Do you have any other minor gripes or problems with the issue with the movie that you wanted, just initially thinking about it? Less than 24 hours after we saw it.
One of my kind of, again, this isn't really a big issue. I almost feel, and I've gone back and forth on this a lot since I saw it, 12 hours ago, however long it's been.
Right.
I almost feel like it could have ended before they get to the island. Like it almost could have, the transition was just a little clunky for me. Like they build it up, and then it's
high emotion of seeing Han die and seeing the fight and blowing up the Star Killer base.
And it ends kind of in that everyone's happy again, just sort of how the end of
right.
New Hope ends, and then there's this little tag. It felt just a little tacked on, just to have it. But at the end, I feel like we still needed to see Luke. Like you couldn't have got away with that.
I mean, maybe they could. I agree with you. It does feel like a second ending.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like watching Return of the King, and
it has this big great ending. It's
it's over, and then
okay. Well, we have,
and then at least it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
But I agree. They could have completed that map with just the one spot that was missing that they couldn't figure out where he was.
And and they fly off, and that's where they're going.
We're going to get Luke. Mm-hmm. This is where Luke is. We're going to find him. And that would still mean stuff to people. I don't have I agree with you. They could have ended.
Again, it's a minor. It's not. It doesn't detract from it.
Right.
It's a minor.
Absolutely, but at the same, that's a great point. There's another. I talked about some of the little things in there. I was also, and it's not a fault of the movie. It's a fault of the otherwise amazing marketing campaign that Disney ran.
Okay.
Was they built up some stuff that ended up felt incomplete, and it kind of takes away a little bit of the enjoyment. And it's not the movies. The movie,
no.
If you didn't, and primarily one of the things is again Captain Phasma. Captain Phasma was really became a topic of discussion because she looks so cool, and it's Gwendolyn Christie, and then she does nothing.
Yeah.
She literally does nothing. And
I mentioned this earlier today when we talked a little bit about it. It feels like they were trying to Boba Fett doesn't do much in the original show, but everybody loves him.
Yeah.
And then that came after the movie. So it almost feels like they tried to sort of build that hype and love for her before the movie without having the fans kind of take that on themselves. Because I feel like that if they had really hyped her up or put her in the thing, they made it been like, oh wow, there's that. I want to know more about this Silver Storm,
Right. But I think part of why Boba Fett captured the imagination of so many people was you see him in Empire. And he's the one, you see him on the ship when Darth Vader's trying to recruit the bounty hunters, and you're like, oh my god, who is that guy? He's so strikingly cool looking.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he's with Darth Vader and he takes Han Solo and Carbonite away, and that's really all you know. And then they came out with a toy of him, and it excited people. You cared about it. We weren't alive for that part of it, but you hear those stories, and that's it. In this, not only does Phasma do nothing, but really, one of her big scenes is her just, getting taken prisoner and kind of giving up information. So, she's not even, badass.
No.
She just kind of, the way that she's presented, she gives up information about where they have to blow something up.
Well, I think that's ultimately...
So it's kind of weak. I don't picture people being like, oh my god, I need the Captain Phasma video game now.
And I think all of that will probably play into Episode 8. Because you have Captain Phasma, who got taken to give up information. You have Kylo Ren,
assuming she got off.
Assuming she got off of it. And then you have Kylo Ren, who was defeated, and even Snoke is like, well, it's time to complete his trick. You're going to have all these villains who basically got, overthrown by the good guys who are like, we need to get our shit together, and they're going to probably try to come out bigger and better and worse than they have before. And that's interesting.
Yeah, and we have the other Knights of Ren.
Yeah,
who are alluded to, and you see an image of them in Rey's, vision when she touches the lightsaber. My initial guess is they don't say that Luke was training Ben Kylo.
Yeah.
They say he was training Jedi. I think they are all the fallen Jedi that he was training. That could be really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that we only saw a flash of them, and it's the shot that you saw in the trailer. If you're watching this, you haven't even seen it yet. And that's it. That's all that we know. That we don't know anything about those characters, and I can't wait. I hope they're all awesome, and I hope that they aren't just like more powerful villains for different fights across the galaxy or something. I don't even. What a tall task. They had an impossible task. Rebooting Star Wars in a way, in a meaningful way, continuing Star Wars in a meaningful way, not rebooting necessarily. But Rian Johnson has a job to do, and that's continue this. Cement it being back. I think he's up to the task.
Because, J.J. Abrams didn't want to be the guy to screw up Star Wars again. But once you start out so strong, it's like doing like one of the marathon baton relay race.
Right, sure.
It's like you
ran a great first lap.
I got this here. Don't drop this. Don't fuck this up.
And I feel like Rian Johnson is the guy, and in the back of my head, it's still like, and then Colin Trevorrow's finishing.
Yeah. But who knows? I mean,
he laid the best possible foundation.
Yeah.
I think. We'll see. We could keep going on. I'm sure we'll talk more about this movie later on after we've seen it a few times. We can really digest it. But borderline, I loved it. Favorite character?
Right.
Favorite scene? The moment?
I love that scene where they're at where Kylo Ren's like using the Force on her, and then she ends up. That whole sequence. They're just both so good together that you can tell like this is gonna be the Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and just
No, that was great.
They're gonna have to come back.
For me, it was that moment that I talked about when she uses the Force over him and overpowers his Force and gets the lightsaber, and then the fight starts, and Han's death. It was handled.
I don't want to call that my favorite, but it's easily the most powerful.
Way he touches his face too right before he falls. It's just like, it's tough.
So now you got to rewatch that again, and like that scene where they're like.
Now you got to watch the whole movie, knowing for sure that he's dying.
Yeah, and that scene, him and Leia say goodbye. Fuck.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up, though.
Yeah. What about you? Favorite character?
It's got to be Rey. She's great. I think she has the best arc of the three good main new characters. She's awesome, but we didn't even really mention BB-8.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned early on, I'm buying all this Force Awakens merch, super early, but the one character I was holding off on buying, was BB-8, because in the back of my mind, you gotta think about Jar Jar. You gotta think about some of the annoying things they did with droids in the prequels. And there was the off chance that he would not be handled right. But he was handled right.
Oh, he was great.
He's great. He's funny.
That little thumbs up?
Yeah, the thumbs up's great. But even some of the emotions that he has, when he gets sad when he thinks Poe died.
Yeah.
When he rushes to him and stuff like that. He's a great.
And it works because he's on the when R2D2 gets sad and he makes little sounds, but BB-8 his head can go down and perk up or do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it remains to be seen if he'll be as impactful as R2D2 was. Before this movie, R2D2 had saved them basically in every single movie. He doesn't do that in this movie.
No.
R2D2, he's shut off. He's sleeping most of it. But I loved BB-8 too. Yeah. But I'm gonna go with Rey, definitely. So that's kind of Force Awakens is here. We now live in a time where Star Wars is back, and I'm excited to live in it.
Mhm.
I'm excited to delve into every bit of, like, I've been holding off and reading Force Awakens stuff. I can't wait to read everything I can get my hands on. I'm going to listen to other people talk about this movie, and then I can't wait to start, you know, the Disney hype train is about to get off of Force Awakens and start telling us about Rogue One. Can't wait for that, and then beyond. Like, start getting those, like, you got to think we're a month, 2 months away from finding out where we won't have to say Episode 8 anymore. We're going to know what that movie's called.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's soon. And just then start just dreaming about what it will be.
Keep going.
You know, we got the first trailer for Force Awakens 13 months before it came out. We're 17 months from it. We might get a look at that movie in 6 months.
I was going to say, what are the chances it'll be on the Rogue One?
Before that, I mean, if the timetable was the same before
that's true.
So, and that's so exciting. Like, what a time we live in. But, and, you know, all the news that comes out, obviously, that's not spoilerish. We'll be talking about in this show, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned just for more Star Wars discussions. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
I think,
I mean, if you've been watching us for this long, you know we talk about Star Wars.
I mean, there hasn't been one episode where we didn't talk about Star Wars, so don't expect that to go away. Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit now, but
maybe we'll talk about box office a little bit. You know, if it's like breaking world records. But other than that, you know, Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
You can follow me at Star. No.
You can follow him at Star Wars. You can follow me at Star Wars.
Yeah, and then this is the Star Wars show.
Yeah.
I'm at Stonks on Twitter. You can follow me there.
I'm at Rich Belson. You can find the channel at oabeer_official. You can also email us at overbeerofficial@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/overbeer. If you like these discussions, if you like our episodes, please share this video with your friends. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until then, we will see you next time, and may the Force be with you.